Hey everybody, Matthew here from MiniWarGaming.com, and welcome to the first story time of our new narrative campaign, The Battle for Minaria Prime. This campaign will be featuring the Tau versus a mighty Ork Waaagh, which will be played by myself as the Tau and Quirk as the Orks. And we're planning on having a lot of fun with this. This is going to be, the plan for this is to be slightly smaller than our old campaigns. It'll probably be a 4-week-long one. And there is an impending Tau release to actually get a new Tau codex. But by the rumors, the date will probably be near the end, if not right after our campaign finishes. So we're just going to most likely play with all the regular Tau rules and just kind of ignore the new release when it comes out, just because things get filmed beforehand. And as usual, the format is going to be following our typical narrative style battle reports, where we will have a story time every week, followed by 2 battle reports, the A version and the B version. Some of them happen sequentially, some of them happen simultaneously. Time-wise, you'll know beforehand basically how it works. The first battle report is always available for free, and the second battle report is available to our MiniWarGaming Vault members, which of course we encourage you to become one if you're not one right now, so you can get the full access to everything that happens in these battles. And the battle reports have a huge influence over the story. I'm experimenting with a few new things here. For one, really trying to allow the battle reports to dictate the direction of the story rather than having a pre-made story beforehand. And so all the story that you hear, most of it was developed actually after the battle reports are done, so that we can kind of make it all flow together into one long story. We're of course open to more suggestions, how you like it, anything you'd like to see improved. And of course we'd love to hear your responses to the characters that do get created, and especially when you're watching the battle reports. So watch the story time, enjoy, and then use the links in the video description below to go and watch Mission 1A and 1B. I'm actually going to make the transcript of the storytime available as well on the MiniWarGaming forums. There will be a link in the video description to that as well, in case you're interested in the written version of this rather than me speaking about it. So you can go and click on that as well. So where we start is on the Tau side of things. Storytime part 1 is going to focus from the Tau point of view, and then we'll get more of an Ork perspective in the next storytime, which will be next week. In the latest Tau expansion, there was a world discovered that was unmatched in the rest of the Tau Empire for its beauty and serenity. This world had a primitive population on it who quickly agreed to join the Tau's greater good, to join the Tau cause, and provided both a strong and surprisingly intelligent workforce for the greater good, even though they were primitive. Soon, vast Tau cities were constructed, and the planet became renowned for its cultural and scientific advances. Many felt that it embodied what the Tau are really trying to achieve in their great expansion. The planet was named Varus, or Serene Garden, and was prized by most of the Empire. Varus was not far from the Imperium border, and so the Tau Empire saw fit to fortify the world in the event of the Imperium attempting to seize the Tau's precious jewel. Ethereal Aunel Varus Kor, political leader of Varus, felt that even more measures should be taken to protect what he now saw as his own homeworld. And so, Aun Kor sent a peaceful expedition fleet to the nearest Imperium world. This turned out to be the Armoury world of Minaria Prime. If you're not familiar with what an Armoury world is, it's where the Imperium stores large amounts of munitions and tanks and other gear for war efforts. And if you can picture an entire planet dedicated to that, you can kind of see the significance of what an Armoury world would be. It's unlike a Forge world where they create it. This is where they store a lot of it. Some of the Tau were suspicious of the fact that the humans had an Armoury world so close to Tau space. However, when Aun Kor's ambassador met with the planetary governor, he learned that there was a large Ork threat building in the subsector, and that the Armoury world was established to stockpile the necessary weaponry to counter this threat. The governor was quick to accept a proposed peace treaty from Aun Kor's ambassador, and even took it a step further, and offered a loose alliance of sorts that would see that Minaria Prime's forces would be used to protect the Tau in the event of an Ork invasion into Tau space, specifically Varus. In return, Aun Kor would pledge the aid of the Tau in the event of an Ork invasion. Of course, many from both sides questioned the motives of the treaty, as they should, but in the end it made the most sense for both sides. Assuming, of course, it wasn't made too public to the Imperium and that the Inquisition didn't find out about it. Aun Kor's expedition returned home, and Aun Kor was satisfied that he had sufficiently protected his beautiful homeworld, and hoped to see peace for the rest of his life. 2 months later, the Great Waaagh Thunderbolt launched into Imperium space, and Minaria Prime was completely overwhelmed in the space of only weeks. By the time Aun Kor received reports of the world falling to the Orks, it was already over. Thinking not only of the treaty with the governor of Minaria Prime, but also the very real threat of the Waaagh escalating and entering Tau space, and realizing with horror that they now have full looting access to an entire armory world of the Imperium, Quirk quickly sought out the permission of the Greater Ethereal Council to launch an attack on Minaria Prime before the Orks could finish looting the world. Unfortunately, however, with the current pressures on the Tau Empire, some from the recent fall of the set world of Luscaris III to Chaos forces, others from impending Tyranid attacks, and even more from other Ork warbands in the southern fringe of the Tau Empire, the Ethereal Council just was not able to provide any more of their fleets, just to prevent an attack that may actually never occur. The Orks might go in a different direction for all they know. Quirk was informed that he had total control of his own fleets, and if he should choose to attack Minaria Prime, there would be no repercussions from the Council. Unfortunately for the occupants of Varus, the fleet was not big enough to go headfirst into an attack against not just a powerful Ork band, but an entire Ork Waaagh. That is when Shazot Varus Tauren, commander of the military forces of Varus, came to the worried Ethereal and proposed what he would call Begel Montviel, or the Quick Ork Death. Tauren had studied the reports from the scout fleets, and he saw what many others didn't see, or maybe couldn't see. He saw that the Ork Waaagh was at the time of great instability, coupling the newness of the Ork Waaagh with the fact that they were distracted by fighting over looting rights. Shazot Tauren felt that they had a great chance to destabilize the Waaagh before it could grow even faster. While their forces would be small and outmatched 100 to 1 at least by the Orks, with the right surgical strikes and guerrilla warfare, the Orks might just revert back to their individual warbands, slowing or hopefully even stopping the Waaagh and giving the Imperium the time they needed to take back their world, and then hopefully continue the alliance. After much meditation, Quirk saw really no other option but to agree with the plan. He feared for the future of his world, but felt that Shazot Tauren, in his military experience, would give them the edge necessary to win this campaign. And so the great strike of Begel Montviel against the Ork-occupied world of Minaria Prime began. Now, let us fast forward several months. We're actually going to plunge ourselves right into the middle of this conflict. We're not going to start with the Tau arriving, but right in the middle of it. So the Tau have been doing their guerrilla strikes and warfare against the Orks, frustrating the Orks because they never come out in full frontal attacks, especially the war boss Grubfang Gorthug. And then Tauren actually discovers something really interesting about the Orks, and we're going to talk more about this in Storytime Part 2, but you'll see this in these battle reports. He discovers that the war boss seems to have a lot of attachment to a certain boss pole that he calls the talking stick. It has some sort of religious symbolism with the Ork warbands, and almost seems like a kind of something that declares his power and his right to be war boss. And they've been thwarted several times in trying to assassinate Grubfang, because he's just always too powerful and surrounded by too many Orks just to be able to get a surgical strike in there, or the Pathfinder with the sniper rifle to the right spot. Just not able to draw him out. And so Tauren sees that this boss pull is so important to him that he sends in some Pathfinders and some scouts to sneak into the Ork encampment at night, and they steal the talking stick. Of course, once they get far enough out, they don't actually try to escape because that would defeat the purpose, and instead set up a small Tau force. And once the war boss awakens and finds that his boss pull is gone, and after he's finishes killing a few Orks around him, he discovers this Tau force right there, and they of course flaunt the fact that they have the talking stick. And he quickly jumps in his biggest bike because he has an obsession over speed, as we'll find out later on. Orders his forces to mobilize, and before all of his forces can mobilize, he drives off with everybody who can keep up with them. And so that'll be our first battle reports. The Tau are attempting to pull him out, and Tauren has a strong force of broadsides and hammerheads ready at an ambush site. So the Tau need to draw him out far enough that they can then, with minimal casualties, just rain down the death upon Grubfang and his entourage that come out. So missions 1A and 1B will be covering that. 1A is going to be a chase scene. We're going to start off in a fun 2,000-point game with some really special rules. Terrain is going to move instead of the vehicles. Well, the vehicles will move as well, but this is the board is going to constantly be shifting as it represents the Tau getting away as fast as they can and being chased down by all sorts of Ork war bikes and trucks and battle wagons, and it'll be great. And then 1B will be after that, depending on what happens. If the Orks are able to get drawn out to the ambush, then 1B will be the ambush. But we have no idea what will happen in 1A until 1A is finished. So both of those will be in the description below. 1A, of course, is available for free on YouTube, and 1B is only for MiniWarGaming Vault members. And of course, if you click on it and you're not a Vault member, you can get a free 7-day trial to the MiniWarGaming Vault. Helps us to build these studios, do these narrative campaigns and everything else, and gives you access instantly to thousands of videos there, painting tutorials, battle reports, behind the scenes, and most importantly, Mission 1B of this campaign. So go ahead, click the links below. Click the link for the forum if you want to get the transcript of this. Thanks for watching, and happy wargaming.